Hey y'all, it's me. Back to the glow up is y'all. Last week, y'all, I missed y'all so much. Power was out last week, so I wasn't able to even let y'all know that I wasn't gonna be able to make it. So I do apologize, but I am safe. My area definitely got flooded. But I'm still here, right? And I'm thankful for that because, man, listen, could have been gone, but God saw fit, right? But again, the power was out, right? And we had some floods or whatever in the area that I'm in, but I'm thankful that at the end of the day, it didn't hit my section specifically, but we were out of power for about 38 hours. But to be able to have that power back, and to be able to thank the people who even opened their houses out to, like, open their houses up to me and my mom, because my mom came to visit last week, and I was excited too, y'all, about last week's episode because I really wanted her to come on and just say hey to everybody. But I thank y'all so much, man. The Glow Up is would not be what it is without the support, without the encouragement of you. I promise you, when I'm talking to y'all, I promise you I'm encouraging myself. And I'm also motivating myself, right? And I'm talking to myself because in order to grow, right? In order to glow, we got to grow. And that's what we do here at the Glow Up is we got to be open, we got to be honest. And even if it hurts, even if it's uncomfortable, we got to do it. It's just a must. It is a must. It is a must. I also wanted to shout out my cousin as well for checking up on me. Well, I had a lot of cousins that checked up on me, but this one in particular, she was really on it. Sis was really on it, okay? So shout out Tisha. Shout out also Tiara. I want to see if she come on here. But her birthday was last week, so I planned on saying happy birthday on here, but of course, power was out. But anyways, let's not waste no more time because you already know how this go, right? We grow to glow here at the Glow Up is, and I'm excited about today's episode. Today's episode is titled "Who Am I?" It's amazing because a lot of us really are literally out here walking around and have no idea who we are. It was a question that was asked. I did an icebreaker in one of my life groups this week, and the question was, "Are you living or are you existing?" And it hit home because sometimes I have to, sometimes I have to do like a evaluation with myself, where I'm just like, okay, Toya, are you living or are you existing? Meaning that, are you complacent, right? Or have you gotten to a place where you're no longer just moving around, right? You're actually moving with purpose. And to me, I feel like that's what living is you are living, you are fulfilling purpose, there's movement happening, right? You're not stagnant, and you're doing exactly what it is that you're called to do, right? And even if you don't know exactly what you are called to do, you have an idea because of the gifts that God has given you. And so tonight, man, I wanted to focus on who am I. And we gotta make this thing personal because we need to know, who are we? And in order for us to really know who we are, right, we have to know who we are attached to. We have to know the creator. Because if we don't know where we come from, we really may not even begin to really understand who we are or why we do the things that we do because we haven't started at the root. And so, who am I? And I thought this was so funny because I was like, man, what's that passage in the word, right? That I thought about. But I'm gonna just give y'all a few references with the word because it was good. But I'm gonna put a synopsis on this thing though. But it's coming from Mark chapter 8, verse 27 through 29. It says, Jesus and his disciples headed out for villages around Caesarea Philippi. As they walked, he asked, "Who do the people say I am?" Some say John the Baptist. They said others say Elijah. Still, others say one of the prophets. He then asked, "And you, what are you saying about me? Who am I?" Peter gave the answer, "You are the Christ, the Messiah." So, what I want us to do, right, is a lot of times what happens is um, we get so caught up in our own day to day things, right, is that we allow the things that are around us, our circumstances, all of that to define us. And I think it's easier said than done sometimes, because what ends up happening is that we forget the core of who we are. We forget that. And I kind of wanted to touch on this because when I thought about, Jesus and him asking the disciples, like, who do people say that I am first, right? So then when they gave him the answer as to who they thought, that he was, right? Like, who do people say that I am? Like, these people know of me, right? And so I want to know, what are the people saying about me? What do they think about me? And so then when they gave him all of these answers, like some say John the Baptist, some saying you one of the prophets, but we just taking it all in stride, right? But then he made it personal and he said, well, who do you say that I am? And he asked them this because at the end of the day, right? And I'm spending time with y'all. So y'all should know me. You shouldn't just know of me. You should know me. And so I thought that was such an amazing thing, because something went off on me a little bit, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you mean to tell me that you around all of these people, right? You are around your disciples, your people that have known you for a good while, that have literally been around you, they've hung with you, and yet some of them still didn't know who he was. Did y'all just hear what I just said? You got people that are hanging around you, people who think that they know you and still don't know you. Did y'all just hear what I just said? Who am I? And it's so crazy because when I thought about it, I was like, well, wait a minute. Who am I? Like, Toya used to be this, right? Because it's so crazy, because what you see in perception is a real thing too. Because what happens is that people can view you from a distorted view. They view you based on the things that they see. They view you based on what somebody else says about you. And this is what God was trying to show them in the word. He was trying to literally show them in the word, y'all. Right here, he was trying to show us that at the end of the day, people know of me, but it's about a personal relationship, meaning that you have to get to know me in order to build a relationship, to really know who I am. Because if you don't build a relationship with me, you're going to go off of what mama say I am, right? Because mama may know me as a friend. Mama may know me as the sister. Mom may know me as the brother. Mom may know me as the father. Mom may know me, but you can't go off of her relationship. This thing has to be personal. And I thought that it was ironic that out of all the disciples to be there, right? Because all the disciples were there, Peter was the only one that was able to answer who he really was. Everybody else should have been able to answer that question, because they spent the same amount of time that Peter had with him too. Like, you are supposed to know who I am. But a lot of us, man, we're just like the other disciples, sitting there trying to figure out who God really is. So then that way we can really truly understand who we are. Because what we've done is we've gotten so accustomed to being in the world that we look like everybody else, that we look like people of the world, and there's no difference. There's no separation. There's nothing different about you. You act just like them. You look just like them when God called you to be different. We blend in. Some of us, we blend in. And even though we shouldn't necessarily blend in, right? We still do. And we find ourselves trying to become people, right, that we try to measure up to things that we can't even really measure up to, because we don't even know who we are. Like, our identity is lost. We're going off of who people think we are versus them knowing who we are. Like, people will literally get on here, right, and try and say a whole lot of different things about who you are. And the crazy thing about it is we are steadily evolving every single day. We are taking the time, we're doing the work. Some of us are doing the work. I can't say all of us because I don't know. All of us, maybe we're not doing all of the work, but we are all trying in this life. We're all going through this thing called life, right? And in this thing called life, we all have things that we deal with. We have different issues that we deal with, right? Whether or not if it's finances, whether or not if it's love, whether or not if it's relationships, whether or not if it's at work, whether or not if it's with the kids, being a parent, right? We hold all of these different titles. When was the last time that you actually took time for yourself? When was the last time that you took yourself out on a date? And I'm not talking about even if you're married, I'm talking about actually enjoying your own company. Some of us don't even like ourselves to even know ourselves. Some of us don't even know what we like. We expect other people to know what we like, but we have no idea what we even like. We don't even know what we don't like. Maybe we should start there with knowing, okay, maybe I don't like this. I know that this doesn't feel good, right? And so this gives me an idea of who I am. This gives me an idea of where I need to glean from. Because when Jesus asked them, right, because he wasn't necessarily concerned about what other people were thinking about him, he said, okay, I just wanted to prove a point because I understand that people out here are talking about me, but what about the people that are around me? Who do they say that I am? Who am I? Maybe you need to start asking your circle around you, who am I to you? Who am I? Right? And maybe you need to start asking yourself, who am I? What do I like to do? What are some things that really begin to define who I am as a person? I think sometimes we get so caught up in the titles, and I want to stay there for a moment with the titles because a lot of times we look at, a mother, I'm a mother, right? I'm a mother. And I'm a wife, right? I'm a sister, right? And I'm all of these things. I have all of these different hats that I put on, but at the same time, why can't I just be Toya today? Why can't you just be you today? Right? Because at the end of the day, you don't make the time for yourself. You don't even give yourself 5 or 10 minutes to yourself. This is what I'm talking about because it's so keen, right? And this is why God is calling us to have a personal relationship with who he is because he wants to show us who he is. Because when he shows us who he is, then we can begin to learn who we are. Because if we don't take the time to learn who we are, right, we will allow the world to define us. We will allow the world to think for us. Because if you don't think for yourself, the world gonna definitely think for you, or even to your parents, right? Because some of us, we love our parents and we care for our parents, right? And we love our siblings and we try to be there for our siblings, right? But at the end of the day, what they think of us, right? And they know us, right? But even now, we're steadily evolving. And because we're steadily evolving, we never get too content with where we're at, right? We may be satisfied in that season, but then here comes another season and I can't be the version of who I used to be. Yes. And it's crazy because you are absolutely right, Kay. And what others see about us could be very different than who we see ourselves as. And you are absolutely right because people sometimes perceive me to be this strong person, right? And I'm very that is awesome. You know what I'm saying? But I never want people to get it twisted because at the end of the day, I am more than a conqueror, right? I definitely am, but I'm still human. I'm still flawed. I still have things that I'm going through. I still have things that I deal with, right? Things that sometimes can overwhelm me. But at the same time, we try to live up to these expectations of other people when God says, I have my own expectations of you, but so do you. You should have your own expectations of who you are as well. But we get so wrapped up in other people's views of us that we try to become it and we never measure up and they're never satisfied. And they can't be satisfied with you because you're not satisfied with you. So who are you? Who are you pretending to be? Take off the mask. I understand that the mask is comfortable because guess what? Sometimes the mask is comfortable. Sometimes it's easier to just put the mask on and pretend to be somebody that you ain't. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to shrink back. I know what it feels like to want to just hold back because for me for a long time, and I'm gonna say this because it's real, it is really real. For me, I really felt like my personality was too big for people. I felt like my personality was a bit much for people. So I felt like in order for me to make everybody else comfortable, I'm just going to shrink back. I'm just going to hold back. I'm just not going to say what I think I should say today. I'm just going to be quiet, right? And the people who really know me, right, are like, nah, something going on with Toya. That ain't even Toya. Toya gonna say how she got. Toya gonna say what's on her mind, and I am. I'm definitely one of those people. So at the same time, right, I'm still mindful of how people, perceive me, right. And I used to really care, but I've grown out of that season in my life because at the end of the day, um Toya is in charge of Toya. Toya is in charge of Toya's spiritual growth. Toya is in charge of where Toya grows. Toya is in charge of the boundaries that need to be set. Yeah, because we all have to put them in place because there's certain things that I just won't allow because of who I used to be. You may think that you know me, but the reality is you really don't know me. And it's so funny because I found myself talking to one of my friends from high school. And I'm not even gonna say really friend, but an associate, right? Because I don't use the word friend loosely, right? I only have a certain amount of friends that I can say, maybe about four female friends. I don't have a lot of female friends because I just don't. I don't believe that you have to have a lot of female friends. I've just never been that type of person, and I probably won't ever be that type of person. But I have about four female friends um, that I talk to, right? And I'm talking about on a daily basis. Like that's how I know, like these are my friends, like really, because they talk to me, right? And I talk back to them. But at the end of the day, right? That situation, what it ended up turning into is she was like, I remember when you used to do this, and I remember when you used to do that, and I'm just like, okay, you talking about a high school Latoya. You're talking about a 16-year-old me. And that was 20 years ago. Like, I'm not even that person anymore. I'm not even who I used to be just yesterday. So if I offended you or I made you feel some type of way, she was like, oh, no, no, no. You didn't make me feel any type of way. I just wanted to remind you of who you used to be. And I just wanted to remind you of what we used to do. And I just thought that was so ironic because it was a moment where I took that opportunity to be able to witness to her and let her know who I am, right? But then also letting her know like that person who you used to know does not exist anymore. Like because I don't, and yes, we sometimes in this life, and Kay, to your point, sometimes it's hard to find your voice, right? When people have tried to just keep you silent. You're absolutely right. I think that it's tough because sometimes in this life, man, we have so much to say and we have so much to give to the world, right? And I think that what happens is, and that goes back to me shrinking back, is that you can't. People are counting on you for their growth spurt. People are counting on you, right, to help them become better versions of themselves. Imagine if you were to continue to be silent and you don't find your voice because you have people that are waiting for you. Whether or not if you believe it or not, I promise you, you have a tribe that is waiting for you and they do not want you to be silent. These people are literally called to be a part of your life. These people are called to be a part of your growth spurt as well. because iron sharpens iron, man. And I'm so thankful and grateful that we all have different perspectives on life. And I'm thankful that we all, don't understand things the same way, right? Because that's how we learn. And sometimes just because a person doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that they're disrespectful, right? We can agree to disagree, but at the same time, there's still respect that's there and there's still love that's there. Regardless of how I feel about the choices that you made, it does not take away the love that I have for you or who I am to you. You get what I'm saying? And so, we become unapologetic when we find our voice. So I think that it's very I think that it's funny how sometimes people, man, can try to remind you of who you used to be because they really believe, right, that you should be in the same actual position that you were in all those years ago. And sometimes people are even threatened by the gifts and the purpose that God has on your life and the anointing that God has on your life because maybe you do things differently than what they expect, or maybe you have something that they want, or maybe you have a desire to be, you know, um, and they just don't have a desire to be. But maybe they're envious of your life and you not even know it. I think that it's so ironic how sometimes instead of building each other up, we tear down. I don't think that that's something, I know that that's not something that God has called us to do because, and that's the whole purpose of the glow up is, man. The glow up is all about growing to glow. Some people don't like accountability. Listen, I hold a lot of my family members accountable for a lot of different things. And what I do understand is that some people don't like accountability. Some people ain't even trying to receive what you're trying to give them in that moment. You get what I'm saying? Because you're comfortable in your skin and because you're comfortable with who you are, and because God has revealed to you who He is, so now you can begin to understand who you are. And when you get that revelation of who He is, and then He begins to explain to you who you are, that you are an heir to the throne, that you are of royal priesthood, that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, that you are an Esther, right? That you are a queen, that you are above, that you're not beneath, that you are the head and not the tail. Like God just has so much for us. And when you begin to seep and just soak and just be in His presence, it's a beautiful feeling because what happens is that you begin to take on His traits. You begin to take on who He is, because the more that you begin to take on who He is, you begin to build a confidence, right? That's not even yours. You begin to build a confidence where people are just like, oh my God, I want to be bold like that. I want to say what's on my mind too, because there's a time and a place to say those things, right? And maybe you have been silenced, and maybe you felt like, I don't feel comfortable in this environment. And maybe you need to even ask yourself, am I even supposed to be in this environment? Because it changes who I am when I am by myself. Because when I'm by myself, I enjoy me. I love myself. And listen, I tell anybody this. Listen, I am not afraid to go out here and eat by myself. I love to go out by myself. I love me some me time. Okay. I will literally sit, get myself pampered. Okay. I do not have no issues with going out by myself because I enjoy my own company. I enjoy my own company. But then I also love those times when it's just me and my Father and it's just silent. And I can just literally just be who I am. And God says the same way that you are with me is the same way that you can be with everybody else. And I don't need for you to shrink back. I don't need you to hold back. I need for you to be exactly who I created you to be, because it's some people around you that are depending on you to be you, because I need for Toya to cross their paths so Toya can say exactly what I need to say. And sometimes Toya ain't even got to say a word. All Toya got to do is enter the room. And when you enter the room, it makes people uncomfortable because of the anointing that is on your life. I'm not just talking about myself, but I'm talking about every single person that's watching this right now, because there's an anointing that is on your life, and it makes demons nervous. It makes them scared. You irritate their souls. You irritate who they are, right? Because at the end of the day, man, listen, God has called you to enter these rooms. And because he's called you to enter these rooms, you dare not bow down and put your head down like you ain't got it when you do got it like that. Okay? You hear what I'm saying? Because you got it like that. You got it like that. It's people that's waiting on you, that's called to you. Like, do you not understand that you are the solution, that you are the answer to somebody's issue? You are the answer. But if we get so clouded, right? If we get so wrapped up in what the world thinks about us, and the world telling us who we are, and the world is telling you all of these different things, and you shrink back and you hold back, do you know how many people are waiting for you right now? Do you not understand the calling that's on your life? All because you don't know who you are. And because you don't know who you are, and people can confuse you and tell you what to like, what to do, what to wear. Y'all, listen, I get so caught up now where I'm just like, God, what do you want me to wear? God, can I wear my hair up? How you like my hair? You want my hair up? You want my hair down? You want me to put some of these little baby pieces out here? You want me to put some of these edges, lay some of these edges down today? Or what you want me to do? You want me to put a little lip gloss on? You know, I like the lip gloss myself. You see what I'm saying? So I start talking to God, but then God also gives me the answer, and he gives me the right, and he gives me the authority as well. And some of us ain't even walking in our authority that God has given us. And God has stirred something on the inside of us because he wants to complete the work that he has in us. But the only way that he can complete the work is if we know who we are. Yeah. Because if we don't know who we are, man, the enemy is already excited about that. If he can get you so distracted on wanting a husband, if he can get you so distracted, right, with, oh, you ain't got enough money, you ain't got this, you ain't got that, or you get so involved in all of the materialistic things, right, that we forget about God, and yet we forget about ourselves. We even neglect ourselves. And I'm not telling you to neglect your kids. I'm not telling you any of that, but you should be able to sit some time aside to love on yourself and to really take time to ask yourself. Because it's so funny, right? I asked myself the other day, I was like, what do you love? Like, no, what do you like about Toya? That's what I asked myself. What do I like about Toya? And then one of my good friends, one of my, like, she's one of my best friends, Dion, life coach D, y'all check her out. Listen, she is a beast. She has like an empowerment group. And she asked us, what are some things that you love about yourself, right? Like, what are some things that you love about you? And I asked myself that, and I was just like, man, I said, you know what I love about myself? I love that I have a spirit of discernment. I love that I'm an empath. I love that I can meet people where they are, right? I love those things about Toya, but I also just love Toya. I just love that I have, my hair. I just love everything about me. I love all of these, all of my face. You know what I'm saying? I like the way my face is. I want to get some of this weight off, but at the same time, I'm like, listen, I love me. I still love my body. I still love me. I still love that, at the end of the day, even though I'm working on some things, right? And the things that I don't care too much for, I'm working on them. But she asked, what do you love? And I was just like, man, I just love my heart. I just love my heart for God. I just love that at the end of the day, right? I know that I don't always get it right. And even me now, y'all, I'm still working on this profanity. God knows I'm working on this profanity, because profanity has really been one of those things for me that, I just, but I know that profanity is not who I am, but it is sometimes what I do, and it's sometimes what I say. And the crazy thing about it is I'm trying to get that thing up out of there, but I know that at the end of the day, I can't get it out there if I'm not in the word, if God is not holding me accountable, right? But then God will also bring people around you to try to hold you accountable as well, right? And so I'm mindful of how I say things. I'm mindful of what I say, and I even got some substitutions that I say instead of those cuss words. So I'm thankful for that. Maybe that ain't your thing, but that's my thing, right? That's just me being honest, open and honest. But I think that, what is that, Kay? I had someone that criticized everything I would wear. It almost made me change. Thank you. Last Science Day, I said yes. And you know what? And sometimes we have to be very mindful, of the things that we receive from people. Listen, man, you have the right, and I'm gonna say this, and I say it unapologetically too, because I know what that feels like. Listen, I have literally had people tell me what they don't like about me and how they, you shouldn't wear that, baby, or you shouldn't have that on, or you shouldn't. The craziest thing about me, and I've always been like this, and I say I've been like this since I was a little child. The only person that really gets in my head, really, and it's funny as I don't know what, but nobody can get in my head but my mother. My mother is, um, I think that's just simply because she's my mom, right? And I think moms do that. Moms are just moms, right? And my mom is just, she's the sweetest person. But I can just always remember different things that she'll say. Is like, girl, that don't look right. You know what I'm saying? If my mama tell me something don't look right, I'm like, I'm still gonna wear it anyway. But I end up taking it off because I'm like, maybe she right. You know what I'm saying? But I could care less about anybody else. But I'm gonna always do that with my mama because my mama is my mama. So at the end of the day, and I know she ain't gonna just tell me that just to be telling me that. But people are haters. People are literally haters. Okay. So the thing about it is that people gonna be people at the end of the day. And that's the thing. Like sometimes it's hard for us to take that criticism because you ain't trying to hear it. But I say this to rebuke them. Listen, I tell people that all the time. Listen, I done had so many people that done said so many different things to me, honey. I love it. And they get even more irritated. Like I had somebody literally I had posted a picture of myself and they was like, why are you wearing that? I just loved it. I didn't even comment. I just loved their comment. Like there was nothing else for me to say because at the end of the day, I don't care. Um, I don't really care what you think or what you got to say because it don't matter to me, right? It doesn't affect me. And I have the right to say no. I have the right to set boundaries for myself. And I think that that's something that we as a people, we got to be okay with. We got to be okay with being able to set those boundaries. We have to be able to say no to people, right? Like we have to be able to let people understand, like even though sometimes you don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I've been there before because there's certain people that I don't want to say no to, but I've literally had to get to that point where I'm just like, listen, this is sacrificing. This is like literally sacrificing my soul. It's touching me to the point where, it's messing with my mind or it's messing with my spirit. And I don't like that. I don't like that. So when things like that begin to bother me, listen, it's either you or it's me. And at that point, it's you. It ain't gonna be me. So I got to say what I got to say, and I'm gonna let you be free and I'm gonna let you go. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like it's not worth it. It's not like I'm not gonna sit there and argue with you about myself. Like I'm me, you're you, right? And I understand that sometimes in life, like it's okay. Like it's really okay for you to have people that don't agree with you. It's okay for people that don't like you. That's okay too. I don't think that we're all called for people to just like us. We're all called to love each other. But listen, I can love you even from a distance. That's some real stuff. I can love you, be cordial, and all of that good stuff, and not hold not one grudge. Listen, I had to look through my life the other day, and I literally was just like, man, out of all these years that I've been on this earth, and I ain't been on the earth real long, right? Because I'm still in my 30s. But I'm just like, okay, God, do I have any grudges? Do I have anything that I'm holding? Do I have anything that will stop me from being able to come into the kingdom, into eternity with you? Do I have anything that needs to be reconciled in my heart, right? Because forgiveness is not for just them, right? It's for you, right? And for me at the end of the day, I had to be real with myself. And I was just like, man, was I holding something there? Was I, and I can honestly say me now, like today, and today is what, October 4th. Me today, October 4th, 2024. I don't have not one grudge. I don't have not one feeling of emotion where I'm just like, man, I need to get it right with them. I need to work this thing out. I need to do this. I need to do that. Nope. I sure don't. Like I'm at that place where I've literally become so unapologetic. And I think that sometimes it can be seen as people are just like, man, that's unhealthy for you to become unapologetic like that. But I really truly believe that God wants us to be that way. Like God wants us to be unapologetic, right? But he also wants us to take everything through him. And I'm thanking God for friends, family that's been in my life, and those people who have left my life. Like I'm thankful for all of that, because if it wasn't for them leaving my life, I probably would not have been able to grow. And some of them I had to actually walk away from myself. I've removed myself. Like they hadn't removed at all, but I've removed myself. And the reason why I've literally removed myself is because my mental is so important. My emotions are so important because I have to have them disciplined. My emotions have to be disciplined because I can't be in my feelings all the time. I just can't. I cannot be in my feelings all the time. It's just not, it's not feasible for me. It's not good for me to just be in my emotions. So sometimes we just gotta just stop. We just got to just stop, and we gotta get out of our feelings, and we gotta get the plank out of our own eye. Because all of these things, man, all of these different things that we've been talking about on this podcast as of lately, they all dwell back into who am I? Because the things, the way that you respond to something, how you carry yourself, right? It all correlates to who am I? Who am I? Why did I respond that way? But I responded that way because I am internally, right? Internally, I am doing some work, and I'm going to respond the way that I need to respond. And that is what the glow up is about. We are attacking those things that are inside of us, our hearts, our minds, because it affects us. Regardless of whether or not, if you think it does not affect you and what you think about yourself or what other people think about you and how that doesn't affect you, like, man, if God said it didn't matter to him, why should we care? Like, listen, he said, who do people say that I am? And they gave him an answer, right? Everybody gave him an answer. And then he said, but who do you say that I am? And it was only one person that answered. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Like, look at that. All you got millions of people out here in this world, right? It's billions. I ain't gonna say millions, but billions of people that are all over the world, right? And these people may know of me through my TikTok page, through my YouTube page, but they don't know me. They know what I show them, but they don't know me, right? I speak on things, I speak on life, right? But they don't really know me. They don't really have a personal relationship with me. And this is what God was trying to make sure that he got the message through to the disciples in that moment. He said, it's not about what the world thinks about me. It's about what do you think? Who do you say that I am? What do you think about me? Tell me, friend, right? Tell me, mom. Tell me, husband, wife, whoever. Tell me, who am I to you? Because if your person can't even tell you who you are to them, man, listen. I think I might do something like that tonight. Like, who am I to you? Who am I to you? You know, I may even ask my mom, who am I to you? And I ain't talking about just your daughter. Who am I to you? Right? Because sometimes, man, even though I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in titles too, that we think that, we are our titles. And God says you're not even your titles. Like you were who you were before you even knew who you are. Like, I need for you to understand that. Do that make sense? Like, you were, right? And you still are before you became who you are today. Like, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to the root of who we are. But the only way that we're going to get back to that root of who we are is if we begin to spend time with who he is. And it has to be personal. It can't be who the world thinks God is. It has to be who do you say God is? And in order for you to answer that question, you got to know who he is to you, and then you got to know who you are to you. You got to know who he said you are, but then you got to be able to receive who he's telling you that you are, right? Did you just hear what I said? I said, you got to accept and you got to understand and you have to be able to receive who God is telling you that you are, because a lot of us are not even willing to even receive who God is trying to tell us that we are. God is even telling you that you're walking in authority and boldness and all of these different things, that you have all of these gifts, right? But some of us ain't even trying to even receive what God has already told us or showed us about us. Hello, I'm gonna just let that simmer a little bit, because some of us really don't know who we are. We live in the world, but we're not of it. We are foreigners in this land. We are foreigners in this land, y'all. Like, we should not be like the next person. You should be who you are, and you should be able to accept who you are, regardless of what the world says, regardless of what the world thinks. And I get it, because it's an unpopular opinion. And because it's not popular, people look down on it, or people think that you're weird. I'm okay with being weird. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'm cool with being weird. I am totally okay. And if I got to go by myself, God says He would never leave me nor forsake me anyway, right? So I might as well just go with God then at the end of the day. Because guess what? When it's time for me to go, I won't have my mom. I won't have my brother. I won't have my dad. I won't have any of the people that are close to me to be able to speak for me. I have to be able to speak for myself. And I have to show what I did on this earth. Is it enough? But if I didn't take the time to know whose I am, if I don't take the time to know who God is and build that personal relationship with Him, because I cannot build a personal relationship based on somebody else's relationship with who God is. It's personal. This thing is personal. And I thought that it was very ironic how Peter was the only one that spoke up. He knew exactly who he was, the only one that was willing to receive God in that moment, to remind him of who Jesus was in that moment. Because some things only God can reveal to you, but you got to position yourself in order to receive what God is trying to tell you about you. I hope y'all got that, man. Because listen, man, Peter was in a position. He was ready to receive what God was trying to tell him in that moment. And he was the only one that spoke up and told him that you are the Messiah, the living God. Jesus looked at him like, whoa, wow. I just revealed myself to him. And only I could have done that, Peter. Only God could have revealed that to you. And upon you, upon this rock, I'm gonna build my church. This is amazing. And I just sit there and I'm like, wow, the rest of the disciples probably like, well, dang, Peter, I guess we got more work to do. And sometimes we got to be the ones to speak up and say what we got to say, even if it even if it make other people uncomfortable, because it should have been more people that spoke up. It should have been the other disciples being able to at least tell Jesus who he was to them. You got people in your life that should be able to speak to you and tell you who you are and remind you. Even when you forget, they should be able to tell you who you are. And if you got a circle, or you in a circle, baby, that these people can't tell you who you are, you need to let them go, because they shouldn't really be in your circle. I'm not telling you that they should be let go as far as like you hanging out with them, being associates with them, because they can probably be associates, right? It's nothing wrong with you being a living light amongst associates, because again, I don't, for me, I don't use the word friend lightly. I got a friend right now that I just met this year, maybe this summer, right? And she's closer to me than a lot of my friends that I've been with for years. It's crazy, because it's like God has literally brought her in my life, allowed us to cross paths, right, for such a time as this. And I already know that she's a lifetime friend, just simply because I can say different things to her, right? Or say, and she's going to take it upon herself to just do something to make me feel good, whether or not if it's sending me a cash out. Like the other day I had said something about Five Guys, right? And I got a friend that's so dope. She's so dope. because I was like, man, I wouldn't mind having me another burger or something like that, right? You know what my friend did? My friend sent me $15 on Cash App and was like, sis, go get your burger. Listen, I'm telling you, because we gotta have people like that, right? And only God can send those type of people, right? And then sometimes it's just the simple things, because it's people like that, man, who love you. It's people who we haven't even met everybody who wants to love on us. We haven't even met everybody who wants, who's God has called to be our friends, right? And it's crazy, but it's real, because we got to hold each other accountable, man. We got to be able to build each other up. So when you see your sister that got her crown and her crown look like it's a little crooked, fix it for her. Don't laugh at her. Fix it for her. I'm one of those people, man. I'm gonna fix your crown, boo boo. I ain't got time for all of that. No, I ain't gonna sit right there and talk about my sister. I ain't gonna sit right there and do all of these different things with my sister, because at the end of the day, man, we in this thing called life together. And just because I may be in a different level, right, than you are, I'm still in this thing called life. And it is levels to this thing. It's levels to it. I can speak on things that I've been through, but certain things I can't speak on because I haven't been through it. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I'm thankful for my village. I'm thankful for my people. Man, listen, I hope tonight bless you, man, because we gotta tap in, and we gotta plug in to who we are. We gotta let some things go. And in order for us to glow, we got to grow. So we're gonna keep doing this thing, y'all. Next week, I see y'all at the same time, 7 o'clock, 6:55, around that time. Y'all know every Friday we grow to glow. This is what we do. I'm your pusher. I'm your accountability partner. We in this thing together, boo-boo. We in this thing together. Did you hear what I just said? We are in this thing together. So let's do this thing. Let's do it. Let's grow to glow. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Bye.